to Salty Sunshine in honor of almost Valentine's month. I have Eli Vazquez. He's a life and dating coach.
That's right. That's the life and dating coach. Yeah, that's the move. Yeah,
I love that.
particularly work
Life
with
and
women.
dating. Are you life and dating for both men and women?
Women. So I do one-on-ones with men, but my coaching programs and coaching experience is predominantly women. So my content is catered to them. Yeah, women.
That's interesting. Okay, because I was thinking, I wonder, I was going to ask you, what questions would you ask both a man and a woman that are the same, you know?
Oh, a lot of it's the same. Like that's
Yeah.
the thing. It's like and the reality is like there are differences, obviously. But at the end of the day, we're all dysregulated and scared and worried and all that. It's just one part of it looks like a fuckboy. The other part of it looks like a girl who just enables fuckboy behavior. So that's
Wow.
and you put some drinks in between those two people, thus creates a toxic relationship. So
So
there's a
that-
lot commonalities in terms of
So in other words, the men are the alcoholics and the women are the enablers.
yeah, a little bit. Yeah, sure. You put some espresso martinis and all this dysfunction and trauma. Yeah, it's gonna, you're gonna deal with some rough patched relationships. So,
Yes.
yeah.
I love that you're here. Thank you for joining me. I see you all the time online and I love like your chats and your lives and you're always your energy's so great and electric. You're very uplifting. So tell me a little bit about how you got into this. I think you were director?
Yeah. So, how this all started was, I went to film school. I mean, I do still do filmmaking, screenwriting outside of personal development coaching and everything else. And my brand was Self Hype. But yeah, I got my start in digital media. I started working at BuzzFeed like right out of college. So I
Wow.
was in those internet videos, eating weird stuff, trying weird stuff,
Love
doing
it.
I worked out in a prison. I learned how to be a cheerleader. I did it was a medieval times thing where I fought someone with a sword. I've done tons of experiences. So yeah. So that was my start into social content creation, things like that. But it's a very pressure cooker situation working at BuzzFeed. It's like you got to have 1.7 million views a week, or you're failing. So if I
And
had
back then BuzzFeed was like as popular or where was it in the social media?
So I started working there when it was officially popping off. When like people, we thought of like, should we eat stuff on camera? Like that was like old school internet. So this was like the height of BuzzFeed when I was working there. And so I got a lot of exposure. I got a lot of followers and things like that. But at the time, it was a very pressure cooker situation. I come from Southside Chicago. Like my family, it doesn't normalize mental health, personal development, any of that stuff. So, I'm navigating life at this company in LA, overwhelmed, dealing with intense imposter syndrome, feeling like a failure constantly, super stressed out, like not realizing all this kind of baggage that I've had my entire life, and that kind of pressure cooker situation and my own insecurities and my attachment style and all that dysregulation really created a lot of unhealthy distractions. So that was me drinking, that was me dating, that was me doing everything just to feel a sense of escapism and validation from myself. And it really took a big moment of me having the worst. I remember dropping to the ground one day and thinking I was going to die. And I had a panic attack and I was like, I need to change. I need to shift. So I started jumping into personal development, mental health, and all that. And
Wow.
and it completely changed my life. And I was like, I love this stuff. And then I was thinking, okay, well, I'm getting these followers on BuzzFeed. What do I want? What do I want my thing to be? Because I wasn't really posting and stuff.
Right.
And I had a
Was
buddy
social media fairly new back then at this time?
Damn girl, how old do you think I am? Oh yeah,
I mean, it hasn't
MySpace.
been around that long. I remember, what has it been? It's been like 15 years.
Yeah, I mean, well, it was before TikTok. It was like the height
Right.
was Instagram and YouTube. That were like the kind of kings at the time. So my Instagram was popping off, and then I started just sharing my mental health journey, and I started getting a following from that and everything else, and how kind of shifted to TikTok was TikTok popped off, and I'm an internet dinosaur at this point. I'm like, oh god, I don't want to make another app and content and this and that. And I was already doing coaching at the time, and it was just general personal development coaching. And I have a lot of female friends, And they asked me like, why doesn't he like me? Is he interested? Da, 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 da. And I was like, oh my God, here's the tea. Okay.
Oh, the age-old
Um,
question.
yeah, exactly. So I just ranted on TikTok one day because I was so frustrated with my friends. I was like, this is why he don't like your ass. I just ranted for 3 minutes. This is why men don't like you. 2 million views overnight. Women from all over the world screenshotting their text messages, screenshotting like their voice memos, all that. What is he thinking? So I just started giving advice, and that snowballed into this experience. But there's a lot of insecurity in this space. There's a lot of limiting beliefs in this space. There's a lot of
Yeah.
why not meism? Like, yeah, let's explore that. So I already had all the personal development coaching I was doing. So I just integrated that into the love and dating space, and it's been a phenomenal experience so far. And I've been able to actively do that for years. So it's been pretty
It's
fantastic.
great that your personality, like I'm sure, everyone that does things, they kind of have that inner, not insecurity, but maybe like you said, doubts about yourself. Like I hate
Yeah.
my voice. I like my voice. Oh, that person, that nasty comment. I mean, it's just all these things that come out you, and you always see people and it kind of sparks you out of it. But they're like, just don't listen to people, post what you want to post,
Yeah.
be yourself, don't care. And that's hard to do. And it's almost like you got to keep reminding yourself every time, like, it doesn't matter. Like, just be
Yeah.
yourself and don't worry about it. But it's easier said than done, but you got to keep
Oh,
keep
totally.
doing that. So I'm sure you got a
Yeah.
lot of love from all the women. Did you get any hate?
I 100% what you're saying. I think it's so important, and whoever's listening that wants to make content and wants to put themselves out there, the big issue is, well, what are people going to think about me? Are they going to talk all this crap? Are they going to say this? I worked at BuzzFeed. I had millions of views of people looking at me. Everyone talked crap about me. Everything you could possibly say about me, they said it. And in a way, it was hard at first, but you do it every day. So you start becoming like normalizing it to it.
Mhm.
So I was able to kind of like really sharpen my teeth at BuzzFeed. So when I started doing my own thing, I
Right.
kind of was able to kind of, have the calluses. I was like, all right. And also, haters are fantastic. You want haters. If you can invoke an emotion from someone, even if it's hate, you're doing something right. So
I know.
like, yeah, look at Cardi B's Instagram. It's a hot ass mess in those comments, but that's how you know she's doing something with her life, because there's a bunch of people. So you want
Well, the
haters.
hate she gets sometimes is kind of warranted, so that's not great, but not kidding. Like,
Right,
if it's something
yeah.
crazy.
But yeah, it's I do get a lot of support, obviously. Like, I mean, the ladies, the thing about ladies, you guys don't spit game. It's not traditional that you guys spit game. So my DMs are like a wave, or like, hi. Like, but the gay guys, they will give me this eloquent, erotic story about my
Whoa.
toes or whatever. They're the ones that pop off. Oh, okay, got a little something.
Oh, I
But
know that
they're
happens sometimes. The
but
computer
yeah,
agreed with you.
yeah,
No, it's so true. Women are so, and it's innate. We're just different. And yes, there's
yeah,
levels. There's women that are more A-type or more androgynous or more like men. But we are very, we second guess ourselves. I always say men have this delusional confidence, and it's like
yeah,
that's why they're so good at work and business and their jobs, because and getting pay raises and all those things, because they have this delusional confidence. It's like
yeah,
women rarely have that.
yeah,
It's the
yeah.
opposite.
I love that you said that. I literally have a challenge in my 8-week boot camp that I do with women. I have like 8-week post breakup healing boot camp. I have you go get rejected. Like, you can't come back to our call until you get rejected at least 5 times. And
Wow.
there's a reason for that. You're right. How the hell do all these men have the audacity, the gumption, right? Because it's society. Your ex has been getting rejected since he was in the playground, hollering at women, doing XYZ. This is why it applies to him in business, and he's getting that raise when you aren't. There's so many authors and books out there and research of like, not even men, like opportunity for women that is off the table because of these insecurities. So I want you to go out and the goal is to hear no. And whatever comes up, that's what we're going to learn to nurture and address, because that's what's stopping you, right? So I love that you said that. It's so key that ladies start taking up space.
I love that you focus on that, because I do feel, and I have girlfriends obviously, but I feel like I've always been very pragmatic and logical, and I guess that's like whatever, that male side or whatever you want to call that. But I think it's probably the Aries in me, because I'm just very blunt and all that. But I do think you've heard of that site on Facebook, Are We Dating the Same Guy?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, when I tell you the things I see on there, my thought when I'm scrolling, it's just for fun, or if a friend of mine needs me to, post someone in there or something. But most of the girls, my response, which I never respond because I don't engage or anything,
Yeah.
when I always feel like telling them when they're like, is this okay? Or he won't call me back, or blah, blah, blah. I'm always like, I want to say, if you're asking the question, I think you have the answer.
Yeah. That's a pretty key one right there. Yeah. I mean, I like that you said that. So like, the reality of it is that the only reason why you're asking and the only reason why you're struggling right now is like you can't insert yourself in this guy's shoes, even though you can because you do the same damn thing. Don't
Mhm.
act like you don't got guys sitting collecting dust in your phone and in your DMs that you just kind of, oh my God. Then you kind of just string along just because the guy that you really like hasn't texted you back yet. But the
Mhm.
reality is having to have the sobering reality that he just don't like you.
The
That's
hardest
that's
part
the
to
hardest part.
digest. And I think it's hard only because your ego saying he doesn't like me because I'm not good enough, when the reality is it has nothing to do with you. It's just that it factor, that X factor, and not
Yeah.
everyone's gonna like everybody.
Yeah. You don't want everyone to like. Your ego wants you to be liked by everybody. Like your
Mm-hmm.
insecurities want you to be liked by everybody. If are we looking for a damn person or a partner? That's what I always tell people. If we're
Yeah.
looking for a partner, that's entirely different than be wanted by a person. Like our
Yeah.
partner chooses us. That's the reality of it. But we often have these insecurities that, well, he represents approval, that he represents I'm enough. That's giving so much power away to these guys who, as a man, we're dysregulated and don't even think that deep. We're just like, oh, she's there and she's hot, so I'm gonna go talk to her. And oh yeah, I forgot to text her. It's not even anything that maniacal or deep.
Right.
It's not like I'm plotting like, ooh, I want her to be insecure and she's
I
not enough.
know.
Like we're just dumb dudes that are horny and running around.
The
That's just the
stress
reality of it.
women go through while you guys like don't have a current care in the world is like wild.
Yeah, I mean that's why I try to tell women like you guys are smarter than us. You have, and they've done studies. You have more brain cells, more gray matter, more neurodivergence, like different systems where you guys could think of 7 different emotions at the same time. Your brain is like 18 tabs on your computer. Guys, 1. We're
To our
really
detriment.
good at just that. Yeah,
It's not
exactly.
fun for us because I see girls, they dig so deep into a statement, and it's like it's so. I went to lunch one day with my friend and this guy that she had met online. And tell me what you think about this, because she meets,
Yeah.
well, at the time, I don't know, she's not doing it that much now, but like she first got on the dating site, she met all these people, and she would collect them as BFFs, as friends. I'm like, what are you doing? It's a dating site. You're not supposed to, if it's not working out, I mean, you don't have to be mean or anything, but you're not supposed to like stay in touch all the time. Now it's
Yeah.
sucking up all your time for other attention for other people. And
Yeah.
so she took me to meet him, and basically he was verbatim saying, I'm not looking for anything serious. I never want to, verbatim. And her first response was, he doesn't really mean that. He really wants a serious relationship. And I looked at her in front of him and I said, you're refusing to hear what he's telling you. What do you think about that?
Yeah, we call that Delulu. She is at the hotel resort and casino, Delulu full. She got the all you can drink package. She
But
does
it's
not want to
common.
leave.
But
What
it's
was it?
common. It's common.
Yeah, it is common. So that's why I have to tell women, I'm like, men will tell you. They will say, and guess what? They're still gonna hook up with you. Because why
Right.
wouldn't they? And then you're like, well,
Exactly.
why does he keep calling me? And why does he keep seeing me? And why does it? Because you keep picking up. That's a
Oh my
damn good
God.
situation. Why would I stop hitting you up? I get to have a rent a girlfriend while I get to go do whatever I want Saturday night. That's a damn good situation if I was selfish and inconsiderate.
Yes.
You're putting way too much energy. And don't give me, I'm just a girl. No, you're a whole ass woman. All right. I'm seeing the queen in you. I need you to see that in yourself. That
I
requires
know.
boundaries.
That's called woman math, right? It's like,
Yeah, yeah. There we go.
you
We
said
have our
this,
math equations. There you go.
but I heard this. But yeah, see, if a guy told me that, I'd take it for what he said. And guess what? He might change his mind in 2 days and say, well, I know I want to pursue her. But then it's a different dynamic. I'm not going to allow that initial dynamic because it's going to work against me.
Right, right.
Right?
Yeah.
It's so funny. So, what do you think about Valentine's Day?
Oh, just in general, just Valentine's Day?
You like it? Yay or nay? Or you think
Oh
it's
yeah,
silly or fun?
I yap about love and dating because I'm a lover boy. I
Yeah.
love love. I think love is fantastic. I love romance. I love like the experience of falling in love with someone. Even the heartbreak. I love heartbreak. People always say, Eli, are you serious? You love heart? Yes. Oh my God, I love something I could feel as a human being. Like this is
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. People would kill to deal with heartbreak, to have an experience with another human being. Like that is such a beautiful gift.
Yeah.
So yeah, Valentine's Day, go all out, celebrate it, do the damn thing, get nasty with it. I went to the aquarium because I like going to museums. I'm kind of a nerd, but I saw that they had like romance under the sea, and you could have like a 4-course dinner and go to the aquarium
Love
after
it.
hours and have a bottle of wine. That's so fun. Oh my God,
So
that's
fun.
fantastic. So yeah, I think like life is hard. Celebrate
Yeah.
love.
I
Why not?
agree, but I do have a rule for Valentine's Day. It's a silly rule. It's just my rule. If it lands on a weekday, I don't care. Do something cute at home and no
Yeah,
big deal. Any other day. If it lands on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, then you could do something. It just feels like better. So this year it falls on a Friday, so you can
you can do it
make your
up.
reservations now, though. 'Cause-
That is true. Well, Lisa, my question for you is: so if Valentine's Day is say on a Tuesday, so
yeah.
we'll get some sushi, Uber Eats it, whatever. We'll go watch Shrek or something. But then, are we doing something that weekend? It's
Watch
Valentine's
Shrek?
Day
I don't know
week.
about Shrek, but okay.
Well, Shrek aside, are we going to do something that weekend in terms of your policy, or was that the celebration?
Yeah, that's it. Like the
That's
moment's over.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, I'm not doing a post. The vibe is gone. That's how I feel about it. I'm just like, it's over.
The vibe's gone. Yeah. I
Yeah.
feel that. I feel.
I feel
Yeah.
the same way for birthdays. I don't want to post. It's just like do it. Or I mean, I like simple stuff. I'm very easy to please, so
Yeah. I feel
I could
that.
go either way. But yeah, I don't. It's not
Okay.
Valentine's Day anymore. It's like celebrating Christmas, like the Saturday after.
See, this is good though. This is good that we're having this combo because it shows the difference of human beings. Because
Yeah,
I love a good celebration. I'll be like, oh no, let's party
Yeah.
it up. My birthdays are wilding out. I had a couple years ago. I had a Popeyes and champagne pool party where it's just like you just bring Popeyes and champagne and it's a pool party.
love
It's just
it.
it's for the IG. It's for the gram. But yeah, but I respect that. Okay.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so Valentine's Day is a yes.
Yes.
What is? Do you think dating or the questions you get or the issues you get, do you think they're the same as when you started, or have they evolved to something else with social media in this day and age? I personally think dating is horrid because of social media, because of
Yeah.
this lack of communication and like Nick Vial says, I don't know if you listen to his podcast, but I love when he always says people are so quick to be in situationships, which are baloney, because what is that?
Yeah.
And like, let's get naked together, but we can't talk about our feelings or what's going on.
Oh yeah. I always call people out of like, y'all tell me all these situations, all these, well, what is he thinking? And does he want me or does he like me? And I'm like, how long you been talking to him? Oh, for a couple months. I'm like, oh, so you gave him the hawk to it, but you ain't going to talk to him. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, interesting. I'm like, listen, I always got, everyone always laughs when I say this, but it's important. I'm like, he knows what your butthole looks like, but you can't have a conversation. Like he could throw you over his shoulder and do whatever, like, but you can't have a conversation.
Insane.
But, yeah, and it shows the level of vulnerability, and also when it comes to physical intimacy. Oh well, if I give him this, then he will want me, or he will like me, or he'll accept me, or he'll whatever. So it's really important. Like when I get questions, it's usually I don't even answer them because I'm like, where did that question come from? Why doesn't he want me? I could that's surface level answering, but I want to know where that question came from. Where is that limiting belief saying that you're not good enough, or well, he cheated on me 14 times. Should I take him back? I could easily say screw him, but
Yeah.
I need, as a coach, I'm like, why 14 times? Why not the first time? Where is it coming from where you feel you deserve that disrespect? Like that's what I want to tap into, because again, I always check people like, why are you asking the question? Where does it come from? What part is coming up with you that says I deserve this?
Well, that's great because you're getting to the root of it. So then going forward, she won't have to do it again with someone else and someone else.
Exactly. That's what I always tell women. I will tell you why a man cheats, why he's a ghoster, why he does. I will tell you all the disrespectful things of why he does it. But if you don't know why you enable that behavior, you're going to end up with someone like him. So I could tell you all the surface, like him, but if we don't know about you and how to set boundaries or what the limiting beliefs are, you're just going to find someone else. That's like, he's just a reflection of the inner wounds and
Yeah.
where you're at. That's the real of it. He's just a
So
reflection.
do you steer women against situationships? Do you?
So it's hard because I have clients that are like, Eli, you know what? I'm not emotionally available and I want to get some. So I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, all right. So if that's the case, if it ends with the ship, it takes two people to communicate to how to steer that ship. So if it's a situationship, you should still have some conversation. What are the ground rules? What is it looking like? No, like, are we just going to cuddle and hold each other and kiss each other's forehead? Your body keeps the score. Your body doesn't know that we're in a super cool casual. No, it just, I'm producing these chemicals, bonding with this person. Eventually it's going to end, or it needs to be more. So you got to check yourself and be very careful in terms of as you're navigating. But in the very beginning, you should be having some straight up combos. Like, these are the boundaries, these are the ground rules. If someone catch feels, we got to talk about it. But again, it's still dicey, right?
It's easier for men than women, though, for sure.
Yeah. So I try to forewarn, but not everyone is either looking for a relationship. Some people are in that in between. So I just try to honor communication.
I feel like women too will say, "Oh yeah, I'm all on board," but they're not being honest with themselves of what they can handle emotionally.
Yeah.
Some of them can, but most of them, I think, probably struggle a little bit, unless the guy falls in love with her and he's like at her beck and call, then it's all good.
And then she's like, I don't like him anymore. Wow, the guy I likes me. Ew.
I know. So what do you think about the changes from then to now? Any? Or it's pretty much the same? Or
it's pretty much the same. I mean, from when I first started talking about this stuff, I think I've done a better job in terms of, like, I know when to have fun and when to acknowledge, okay, they really just want to know about this guy, and when to kind of tap into their dysregulated parts. Like I've been, I think, been able to be more efficient, but it's very much the same. I think the one commonality, and we kind of talked about it a little bit, was why not me? Like, post breakup, he's doing this, he's doing that, he's doing this, he's doing that. Like, and what's interesting with the work that I've been doing it for years, I see patterns based on the person, and see patterns based on the people that they're talking about. Because I'm disorganized attachment. I know what those guys are and how they move and why they act the way they do. But yeah, it's fortunately, unfortunately the same. Yeah, it's
with
very
maybe
common.
some nuances, right? But it's more or less.
Yeah, it's the hard thing is like, we grow up watching movies, right, and TV and romance and love, and we think our heartbreak is the most individual snowflake, different from anyone else's heartbreak than ever before.
So funny.
But it's not. It's very textbook, and I had
actually had that thought when you break up. I was in an 11-year relationship, and it just like it's like, I don't know for other people, but I assume it's like that for so many people. And I actually stop and think, I'm like, so many people go through this all the time, every day.
Yeah.
It's like, just deal with it. Like, change your mindset. You got to actually talk to yourself in your brain to say, okay, just, that's not what it is. Take that thought out of your head and like keep moving forward. But I do think the situationship has gotten absurd, and we didn't have that before.
Yeah, I mean, so situationships definitely is a thing. I mean, it's something that I think people are honoring too much. I think we created a word for it. I think it's always kind of been there, but now we have a term.
It used to be called dating.
Yeah, or like we're kicking it or whatever. Like, we're bumping bellies or whatever. But now this situationship, it's like, you feel you could come to the club because you have the situationship badge, which really it's made out of paper and it's not really real.
And it's worse because it's almost like they put you on this island of refugees, and it's just like you're there like the losers that are in a situationship. It's like, it's so much nicer if you're just dating. And even if you're like, when people are like, oh, we're just in a situationship, it's almost like they want zero responsibility and they want to be able to go with someone else and have no responsibility. But it's like, if you start dating and someone asks you to be their girlfriend or boyfriend, you can break up at any moment. It's not a permanent thing. Just like marriage, you can get divorced. It's harder, longer process, but dating is not. What is the big deal? And at least like, then you don't have all these thoughts and stress, and it's so crazy. Like, just call it dating. That's what you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, I think people say dating because then it's supposed to lead to something more. and that's what they don't want. And like particularly dudes that like to play games, like I don't want to say I'm dating you because that's eventually that can mean I can't do other stuff. Situationship, I can do whatever the hell I want. Dating,
But not
oh well,
really, because when the girl or the guy finds out something, there's going to be a fight. So I mean, you're acting the same. You're walking through life the same as if you were dating.
Oh no, well that's the thing though. Like guys, we very much focus on gray verbiage. We're like lawyers. We're like, and when it comes to contracts, it's you catch me out doing something, you can't get mad at me.
Yeah.
We're not together. Like, but you said that we're not together. We're not. Like I gotta listen to you complain and be upset, but like at the end of the day, you can't get mad at me. I have never said
Who wants to be with someone like that though?
people that are very dysregulated and have deep senses of abandonment that they need to heal and work on. Like that's
that is so not fun. I've actually heard people in situationships that they actually like each other and they're just like so scared to call it something that it is.
Yeah.
And they actually don't want to be with other people, but they're so scared to like say they're dating.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think? If someone meets someone on a dating app, do you advise them to do a FaceTime before meeting or just straight up go and meet them? Or
yeah, I mean that's a great question. I mean, I think that's a great thing to bring up because you should have the dating app work for you. I think a lot of people are making dating apps to be the enemy or this terrible thing that's awful. It's like it's just a damn video game with people on it. That's like it's not real until it's in real life. But yeah, if you want to be efficient with your time, have the multi-step process. Like I was dating in Los Angeles. LA's expensive as hell. And so I was just not going to go on a date with any damn buddy and drive 45 minutes in this LA traffic and pay $100 just to realize you ain't it. So I would say, hey, let's jump on a phone call and see if we have some chemistry or some vibes or whatever. And I'm like, oh, okay, it was a good convo. And then we'll schedule the date. So yeah, if you are very particular with your time and your energy, have it work for you. Go for that. Yeah.
I agree with you. And even someone's voice, their mannerisms, it could just be like, immediately no, like, no, this is not happening. I'm not, but the only issue I have with it is I think, so Bumble, you could do FaceTime and voice call. On Hinge, you can't. And I don't like to give out my number before I meet them because there's so many crazy people. But if I'm really, I'll make exceptions, but there's so many weird, and there's scammers and there's whatever. So Bumble, I try to do the FaceTime. And then if I really, if he's seen, I mean, I guess after like a few times, a few days, and I don't like to get into long conversations on dating apps. Like, I don't want to know your whole life story. I'm probably never going to talk to you again. Like, stop.
I feel that. Yeah.
So I just want to light talk. What's your favorite food? Where do you hang out? And then meet right away if possible. Yeah. So I do think the FaceTime is a good idea, but you just made me think of my next question. First date, do you like a coffee drink or a meal? I like coffee drink. I know it, and everyone and all the girls are like, that's so cheap. I'm like, my time's not cheap. Like, I get more out of it if it's like no pressure staying the whole time, but I don't know.
Okay, so here are my thoughts on it. And I always used to make fun of coffee dates. First off, it's the first date. I don't even know if we vibe or I like you. So having a whole meal, that's going to take a whole lot of time and whatever. I like having a drink. And if you don't drink, that's okay. Do the tea, do the coffee, whatever. It's just the only thing with coffee, it's not really sexy. It's like, oh, we're not going to drink coffee at night. And if we are, we're going to be jittery. I have this long rant. I'm going to hit you with it, Lisa. This is why I don't like coffee dates. So you go to a coffee shop, right? You can't have 2 cups of coffee. Then you're going to be super jittery. Not only that, you're going to have bubble guts. So you're going to have bubble guts. And we all know there's only like 1 to 2 bathrooms and it's just one big room in a coffee shop. So everyone sees everyone that goes to the bathroom. So you got bubble guts. You got to go to the bathroom. He sees you go to the bathroom. You know damn well you got to knock that poop out, and you don't want him to know. And this is taking too long. This is longer than pee time. So then you're stressed out and then he knows that you're pooping and then everyone also knows that you're pooping. And then eventually you come out and it's this long hallway usually. So you have this long walk of shame knowing that you took a shit and he knows you took a shit, but you gotta act like you didn't take a shit. And then he said, and what's the worst thing you're going to hear? Oh, I have to go to the bathroom too. Let me go right up. No, you didn't have no poopery. Oh my
God, I love poopery. I love that stuff.
We love it. We love poopery. We're big. Just have a little poopery in your bag if you're gonna do it.
Yes, and they have the little travel size. But to your point, a coffee shop is also not sexy because get in the line and it's like you're waiting in line. It's like there's no server and it's a whole. Yeah, you're right. Coffee.
It's.
I said coffee. I meant drink.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing too: is like I get it. Like if you don't go to bars like that, and you don't turn up like that, go for a damn walk or drink tea instead, so you don't have
Yeah.
the bubble gut problem. But yeah, it's not as sexy. Like if you do drink, I would like go to a nice lounge or something. You both people could dress a little nice, but also if the drink ain't work, if the date's not working, you could just, you don't even have to finish the damn drink, or you could just finish it quick, or be like, hey, okay, wish you the
Yeah.
best. And if the date's going well, he's gonna be like, do you want another one? And you're like, yeah. And you're like, okay, unspoken sign that this is going well and we want to keep spending time together. But there's an easy escape. Date can last 20 minutes if you really want to.
So lemonade or iced tea, sparkling water, or a drink?
There we go. Yeah. So, but I say quick and efficient. And also, I know you ladies want like, well, he needs to go get me a lobster and all that. I'm like, in this economy, it's like $8 for eggs. You know, be a little understanding.
Not only that, but like, why? Like, you don't know the person. I mean, to be fair, he's dating a bunch, you're dating a bunch. Well, not me, but some people are. And you know what? I don't see the need. It's like, what that's again a validation that is unnecessary. Like, I personally prefer like not doing that. But I asked online, like, what questions do you have for a dating coach? And so this guy responded and he said, I'm dating this girl, but I kind of want to dump her because she's constantly telling me how feminist she is and she's so self-sufficient and she doesn't need anyone and she's happy with or without me. And it's like, is that necessary? He's like, what should I do? Should I dump her? Like, it's like nonstop.
Are they just, I don't know if you specified this, but they're not in a relationship, are they? It sounds like they're just going on dates.
It sounded like he was, but I'm not sure.
Okay, got it. So, I mean, it depends on how long they've been talking, but if it's early stages of dating and she's constantly verbalizing this, I can't help but feel there's a level of insecurity. Like, why does that have to be attached to your personality? It's like me saying I have so much money. Oh my God, I have so much money. Oh my God. That dude that like really flexes in a certain way, that's like, okay, bro. Like, this is why I want to get to know you. I get it. I love that you love that about you, but I kind of want to get to know you. But yeah, if that's getting in the way, there could be a world where you have turned that into a conversation of, and I know it could be a little uncomfortable, but I'm like, yo, I noticed you're very proud of that. I noticed you bring that up a lot. Is that, I'm curious, like, yeah, where does that come from or whatever, be a little curious. But if it's early stages of dating and you're not, you can't feel you can connect with her because that's a thing that's getting in the way, you don't have to stay necessarily. You know, it's like, that's, you know, you can navigate that as you wish. But if you're in a relationship, that's where you got to have an emotional check-in and be like, hey, babe, I love that you're so proud. I love that we could watch Wonder Woman every Saturday and you jump up doing jumping jacks. And I love that about you. Yeah. It's just, it feels pretty constant. But you have to, the person has to say, okay, how does this make me feel? Right. Like, I feel like I'm not getting to know other parts of you. I feel like I'm just focused on this part. I'm curious about other parts. Yeah. So I'm wondering if we could, like, I love that you love Wonder Woman. I'm curious of other parts. Is it cool if we explore those other parts? And that could be an avenue.
Because it's almost like, why that's the kind of thing you just, like, telling someone you don't like their outfit, like, just keep it to yourself type of thing. Yeah. It's good to feel that way internally, but there's no reason to share that because it makes the other person feel bad. It's almost like telling them, I love when I'm alone watching TV. I love being here alone. It's like, so then every time they come over, they're like, she hates that I'm here. Yeah,
and call it out too. It's like, if she's like, well, I'm so happy being by myself, and I'm like, do you sure you want to date? Like, where do I fit in this? You know what I mean? And you could verbalize your needs, but in a fun way. Be like, so where do I come in with that? I'm very curious. But I think what's really important is, how does that make you feel? Like, that's how you get to connect with the person. Because it's easy to say, you say this too much, and that gives me the ick. Yeah. Versus, hey, when you say you're really independent, it makes me feel like maybe I'm not necessarily needed. And am I important in this? So, like, I'm curious where that comes from. And also, I would love for us to, like, not maybe focus on that. And if anything, we could talk about how we could how we're adding to each other's life. Because that makes me really excited and feel connected with you. So I would focus on that end as well.
I love that. What do you do if you say that and then the guy kind of either shuts down or pulls back or gets defensive? Do you try again?
The reality is like, people's dysregulation and what they're capable of is not your responsibility. Like, all you can do is be a mirror of the type of communication that you want. And if and if they're not giving you what you need, you could verbalize that, like, hey, I feel like you're pulling away, we're not getting to the nitty gritty of it. But if this is a constant thing and you're verbalizing your needs, if we don't do anything about it, it's going to turn to resentment, or this is going to blow up. So you got to ask yourself, is this a good partner for me?
Yeah.
Do we have chemistry in conflict or in confrontation? We think of chemistry in fun stuff. Do we have chemistry in dysregulated parts too? And that's what you have to check yourself too with the people.
That is so true. And never have a conversation while you're drinking.
That also is not helpful. Yeah. Yeah. Keep it to the fun stuff. If you guys are pissed off, just sleep in separate rooms, whatever. It's fine.
Oh my God. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. I love to connect, and I love a guy that can like just talk and not, I like an even keel, that they don't get upset over everything. It's not thin skinned. Like, it's just like, nobody's trying to offend anyone. Like, we're just talking, and I like that. Right. What do you think what is your advice to women that tell you, or men, but you do women?
Yeah.
How do you know if your trust issues are because of their behavior or because of your own baggage?
So that's a really good question. Like, when do I know it's a them thing versus a me thing? And the reality is, a lot of the times it's both. Okay, he's following a bunch of booty forward content creators, and that makes me feel really insecure. Yeah. That's still not okay. Like, that's okay that it doesn't make you feel okay. Yeah. I think it's not so much of, okay, I feel emotional or dysregulated, or I have a feeling, is that warranted or not? It's, okay, I have this feeling. Where is it coming from? And what is the best course of action based on my highest self to address it? Because I think, like, we get this feeling that, like, oh, I like this idea that we're not allowed to express our feelings or have feelings or feel dysregulated, or all those things. Those are all super important and key. It's just, how are you regulating that? How are you managing that? And how are you sharing it with the other person? Because we know what a man's like when he's super jealous and completely dysregulated. Who the fuck you talking to? Who the hell is this? I'm fucking you. I just, bro, I didn't text you back in 10 minutes. Good Lord. Versus, okay, hey babe, can we talk? I didn't hear from you for a while last night, and I just felt really like scared. Now, I trust you, but I would love if we created some convo in terms of his texting, whatever. Like, both have those feelings, but one person's regulating and having inner dialogue with themselves. The other one's just going based on their adolescent part. So I think if you have this feeling, acknowledge it. But we don't have to go throw his phone in the toilet. It's like, where does it come from?
Not to do.
Exactly. And then you have to have that conversation and say, yo, this action makes me feel this way. Alternative action will make me feel that way. How do you feel about that? Like, and I want to know. And I think another issue with women too, or just people in general, they get upset by the action. So that's just one part of it. You have to understand where that action came from too. So for my women that have dealt with a guy in some aspect of infidelity or whatever, or maybe he was chatting up with some girl, and that's not okay. That's not okay, right? Well, you talked to that girl. Okay, I'm sorry. I won't talk to her anymore. Okay. Why the hell was he talking to the girl to begin with? So we got to get why. Get to the root of why you did that. I want to get to know you more on your dysregulated parts and the things that you need to work on. This woman's just a representation of a lack of boundaries in yourself and discipline. And we got to figure that out. So that's another thing I wanted to add to in terms of.
I love that. And it's so interesting and sad how many relationships don't go the distance because simple communication like that, it could have like completely gone a different path. But your age is a factor, and like your temper and whatever. The way you communicate, you never learned it. And then once you learn it, maybe it's like with someone else that you didn't like as much as the guy you used to be with.
Yeah.
And then now you guys aren't together anymore. And it's like, I find that so sad personally, because you see it all the time. I mean, I love watching like therapy shows. I don't know. Do you listen to podcasts and watch therapy shows? And you have your own podcast, right?
Yeah. My own podcast. Yeah. So it's something I talk about a lot with, but I think it's really important. Yeah. It shows you where you're at in your life, and everyone is struggling with their dysregulated parts and fear and insecurities and things like that. And that's why I tell them it's not you, it's the capacity of himself. Yeah. And also, this is a good time to check your capacity of yourself and what we need to work on as well. And you're right. There's a lot of, I always say, like, I don't think we have a divorce issue in this country. I think we have a personal wellness issue, a personal development issue in this country, where so many people just want to be wanted. And so
Mhm.
many people are moving based on their childhood. They're finding the love that they're used to versus the love that they need. And thus they're
Mhm.
just creating this generational trauma where they think, well, if I ever have him propose to me, then yay, okay, that's it. I did it. If I have the house, if I have the kids, I have all that. And then you still feel dysregulated. Because we have
Yes.
yet to get to kind of the root cause of it, you know? So
Oh, because it's such
that's
a
the
long
reality of it.
process.
It is a very long process. It's a never ending process of growth and adventure of yourself. Yeah, for sure.
What's the name of your podcast again?
The Self-Hype Podcast. So yeah, I was doing it around like 2020 COVID. It was more around personal wellness in general. And then with the rise of TikTok explosion, everything else, I'm like, oh, let me re-up my podcast. So
Mhm.
it's we talk love and dating and all that stuff, but it's for your personal development. I'm always going to focus on kind of what how we're talking here. So we'll talk about avoidance and fuckboys and this and that, and I'll bring in guests and all that other stuff. But it's always around your own personal wellness and development. That's
I
why
love
it's
that.
self-hype. So yeah,
It's all
that's
about self-love.
yes. So
Great.
dating, like the dating game is just it's an obstacle course of your personal development. That like these men are going to show you your insecurities, where you need to set boundaries, where you need to stand on business, all these things. It's going to check you. It's going to show you where you're at.
I
That's
saw this quote the other day and I thought it was so interesting. It said, all your years until you turn 40, it's just research. And then you become like you bloom into like who you really are
yeah.
and your life really
Yeah.
begins like on
It's
that level of
interesting. Yeah,
like
I mean and then yeah, it takes the pressure
this
off. Yeah, it's like we're
it
all
really does.
experiencing. Yeah,
I
we're
know.
just experiencing life. I love that.
It's like
Yeah.
just write it off just write it off and now just because people think their life is over, but it's almost like it's just starting because you're more who you are, comfortable in your own skin. So do you listen to the Files?
The Vile Files. No, I don't think so. No.
So Nick Vial or Vial, whatever his name
Uh,
is, he was on The Bachelor a long time ago and he
okay.
popped off on this podcast. It's super popular. And
Okay.
I think you would enjoy his Monday episodes because he has a few. Every Monday, his episodes are called Ask Nick, and
Okay.
people call in with all their relationship questions, and he
Got it.
dives deep. Like it's not, most people are quick. He asks a million. They stay on he maybe has 2 calls in an hour and a half, or
Yeah.
3, but he really gets into it, and it's fascinating. I'm sure you would
Wow.
love to listen in.
Yeah. Yeah, I got
It's
to check that out
fascinating.
for sure. Yeah, definitely.
Mondays on the Files, and also couples therapy on Showtime. Did
Oh
you?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I see a lot of those clips. Yeah, that's really
Obsessed.
good.
She's
Yeah,
an
that's really good.
actual really good therapist.
She's fantastic.
I
Yeah,
love it.
it's pretty fantastic, and it shows kind of the complexity of relationships because a lot of the times we're always looking for the good guy, bad guy. Sometimes they're both
Right.
bad in their own ways. They're both things that they need to work on, and why. It's a really good deep dive because it's so easy to even go into couples therapy. Like I can't wait for her to finally give. It's like
So
you
true.
guys are in there for a reason, and you're a representation of why you're there. Like that's a big reality that a lot of people have to really deal
Hmm.
with is like I always tell people going through breakups, like without blaming him, why are you here? Like that's the big question to ask yourself is like, it's easy to just, well, he did this, he did that.
Hmm.
Why are you here? That's what it is.
I just told my friend over the weekend at a housewarming party, she's having some issues with her husband. And she's like, I told him we're going to start couples therapy. I said, I think you should go to individual therapy. And
Yeah.
then if you guys feel better, then, because I feel like sometimes people go to couples therapy and all they do is fight. It makes it worse.
Yeah.
They leave that session fighting about what they talked about because
Yeah.
they're not on a good foundation. So I said you guys should go separately and then go from there because it
Yeah.
might be the beginning of the end if you go.
I mean, I think it's there should be individual therapy on top of people think like, oh, I'm just going to do couples. There needs to be individual therapy as well.
Yeah.
I believe if you're really going to invest in this relationship, go all out. Like that's just one part of it. There's a whole individual of you having to face your own demons and your own limitations and your own weaknesses. But also it's like reframing couples therapy as we should have conflict in the therapy and start setting some boundaries
Right.
to each other. Like we know, let's get through the week because we know we have a safe space to decompress. Like if anything, we'll do that. And that third party will tell us, put the necessary bumpers and all those things. But yeah, I'm a big proponent of therapy, couples
But you're
therapy
so
and all
right
that.
because sometimes they go in thinking, oh, wait till they see what a jackass this one is, and that's a
Yeah.
horrible way to go in because you're there to get closer, not to win.
Totally. I always tell people like the number one issue in relationships is like assuming negative intent. Like
Yes.
it's so the dishes aren't done. Well, this lazy ass, he always makes me do all the dishes and da da da. It's so easy for us to assume negative intent. You might have a crazy busy day. You have to give yourself that beat. We're partners in this game. And again, it's a marathon. You're going to have some low, high, crazy moments, but that assuming negative intent is like, oh, I just can't wait. Got to check yourself. Self-awareness, accountability, so key. It's so important.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So leave us with like one really great, I don't know, tip for life or dating, like where to go. Do you have any like good tip for the people, the singles out there?
For the singles out there? Yeah. I mean, I think the reality is like, you have to understand that this whole love and dating game, like it's so easy to be obsessed over the romance. Obviously, that's a part of it. But we're looking for a partner. And why are we looking for a partner? We're looking for someone to grow with, to live life with, to build a home with, if you want kids, fur babies, whatever, to create a culture of a home with.
Fur babies.
Yeah, fur baby. We love fur babies. So what we have to realize is like this is just a part. Like looking for romance and love in a person, it's just a part. Like why we're doing this is to break generational trauma. Like that's the real work. And I think not a lot of people focus on that. So
Right.
when people are overly obsessed with a guy who's disrespectful or cheating or dismissive to their feelings and speaking out of their name, I tell them, stop being selfish. You're being selfish because you're moving based on your limitations and inner wounds. And that is going to create generational trauma. Like your kids can't choose their dad, but you could choose their partner. Okay. And also there's another kid that you're not acknowledging, your inner child. She's so used to functioning that I have to people please. I have to be small in order to receive love. I have to achieve in order to receive love. She's so used to that. You have to nurture and mother her and say, you don't have to do that anymore. And I'm going to set the boundaries for you so you could see the love that you should have received all along. That's the work. So I talk about butts and asses and hawk tua and all this other stuff. It's fun, but that's really the core of it. So if I have anything to tell the listeners, stop being selfish. There's a little girl that deserves love.
How did you become so in tune with, that part of yourself?
Yeah, I grew up with a lot of remarkable women. Like my mom was 19 when she had me. Teenage mom, chose to be a mom.
I was 20 when I had my daughter.
There you go. Yeah, it's a struggle. It's hard. I remember we slept in basements. We moved constantly. We lived with family. She really hustled. And unfortunately, I got to see what those limiting beliefs looked like through her with my father, who was abusive and an alcoholic and all those things, and her getting out of that relationship and her navigating her life and being in survival mode. So I was able to be raised by a lot of strong, phenomenal women, but I also got to see what they had to go through with those dysregulated men. So I'm on my journey to break generational trauma based on what that last name's attached to me, but also through there we go, another one.
I don't know what that is.
But I think those women helped me out a lot in terms of being in tune with my emotions, in terms of feminine energy and all those things, but also just to sit with myself. And I used to hate how emotional I was as a kid. Now I love that part.
I love it. Yeah.
So, and it's able for me to do this work, and be able to connect with women. And I feel that with every woman I work with, I get to help my mom in some way.
So you use your childhood insecurity maybe or uncomfortableness, and now it's like a tool in your toolbox, and it's like so powerful. I love that.
Yeah, and we all have these gifts, and we all have these parts, and that's what makes us us. And you having your personality with your Aries energy and all that, like it's beautiful and remarkable. That's how you create this space.
Your mom is so proud, and you have sisters. They must love it.
It's an army of sisters. Yes, yeah. I have a lot of siblings, but yeah,
they
a lot of female energy.
On call.
Oh, they know better. If anything, they don't hit me up because I'm the big brother and stuff. I'm like, oh, I don't want Eli to be, like, let me talk to him. Let me sit him down. Let me have some combos with him and stuff.
But funny. Yeah. I love it. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And everyone have a happy Valentine's Day. And I hope you can come back another time and talk more about love, relationships. And we didn't talk about life, but dating is where it's at right now. So.
Yeah, and that's a part of life. So there you go. But no, Thank you, Lisa. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. See you later.
See you.